All right, what's going on, guys? So today we're shooting a little leg day. Today is the first full day that I'm home from my Florida trip. Spent kind of all day yesterday traveling. Flights weren't too bad, although, you know, Gladdy and I didn't buy the best seats on the plane, so a lot of the time I was just kind of like stuck, like wedged in between the two people on either side of me or that kind of thing. So definitely grateful that flights were quick, not delayed, we weren't stuck on the runway for too long. With that being said, today, like I said, we're shooting a leg day, so this will be the kind of last like hard workout before I deload. So this week is going to be a deload just to kind of give me a chance to like decompress and dissipate some of the fatigue that I accumulated while I was down south, which is kind of ironic because usually people go south or like go on vacation to Florida and stuff like that, but I went kind of for work to do like some networking and just kind of like see some friends, make some content and that kind of thing. So by the end of the trip, I was very much ready to come home. I'm definitely like a creature of habit, so I really am happy to be home, back into my routine, you know, back into the environment that I'm used to and comfortable with. So with that being said, this week is a deload week other than today's workout, which will be like one last kind of hardcore leg day. I didn't take as many rest days as I usually do while I was on the trip just because I was eating like an asshole. So I wanted to kind of put those calories to use. And of course I was just trying to like train as much as I could with as many different people as I could, see all the different gyms and that kind of stuff. So one last leg day today. Yesterday was the first rest day in a while. So I'm actually feeling not too bad today. And then I'll have a rest day tomorrow before I kind of get back into my normal schedule. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I filmed this leg day just because it's a quad focused leg day. I've kind of gotten a little bit more comfortable kind of being in front of camera, having filmed so many videos while I was on the trip. And I wanted to kind of explain a little bit like why I'm doing the exercise that I'm doing today for this quad focused leg day, as well as like why I'm doing them in the order that I'm doing them in. So with that being said, I'm gonna finish drinking my pre, code Evan, and I'll see you guys in the gym.
Baby, I'm just a dead man walking.
I feel you running through my bones. Baby, I'm just a dead man walking. I feel it coming from my soul.
Okay, so I've explained this in a couple of my videos before, but the adductor is this movement serves like basically two purposes. The first one being like a hypertrophy stimulus for the adductors, so you can get some meat in between your legs. And then the other thing is it's kind of like a prep movement for my squats. So your adductors are actually a prime hip extender when you're in like a significant degree of hip flexion. So if your adductors are kind of warmed up, firing from doing this, you're gonna feel a lot more stable in the whole of your squat. It's also gonna improve like internal rotation of the femur, or like at the hip, which is something that a lot of people struggle with too, just in terms of like reaching depth in their squat. And then also like some people will get like pinching in the outside of their hip, and that's because usually they don't have the internal rotation that training your adductors will produce.
Never stop, gotta get it how you get it, never walk, never block, never fitting just to fit in, cause enough ain't enough, gotta push it to the limit, never stop, never walk. You know what happens when you push it, that's unlimited hands. Tell a person they better listen, cause I finished the plan. Whether major or independent, I'm a stickler and stand. Handle business and I'm quick with the hands, understand?
Take no else, push it to the limit. You ain't gotta ask, you just know that we did it. Take no else, push it to the limit.
All right, so next up we have seated hamstring curl. This is a quad focused leg day, but this is gonna be the only hamstring movement we're doing for the day. So we're doing it early to make sure that it's a strong stimulus, because obviously the earlier in the workout you hit the exercise, the stronger the stimulus is gonna be. And then the next exercises after this are all, aside from one, gonna be quad focused. So we know for sure the quads are gonna get a good stimulus just because of the volume we're doing. But then we wanna make sure we're still hitting the hams on this leg day a little bit, which is why we're doing a length position hamstring movement. So length position is gonna be more growth stimulus, and we're doing it early on. The only thing with hamstring curl you basically wanna make sure is like, your knees are kind of lined up with like where the axis of rotation is on the machine. So for me, that's about right here. Although the pad comes down like right on top of my kneecaps, so I'll probably move just a little bit forward so that the pad is actually sitting on like the top of my legs as opposed to on my knees. All right, so now I'm gonna do squatted calf raise for 2 sets into 1 set of standing calf raise. The squatted calf raise is more so just kind of like an ankle prep. So it'll give me a little bit more kind of like stability in my ankle and a little bit more mobility, which will allow me to get a little deeper in the squat pattern. And then I'm gonna do it's also gonna give me a little bit of a hypertrophy stimulus too, but then the set of standing calf raises I'm gonna do after is gonna be like the main hypertrophy stimulus for them. And I'm doing them early in the session to A, help with ankle mobility before I go into my squat pattern, but B, because the earlier you do them in the session, the stronger the stimulus is gonna be. And obviously, I need all the help I can get with these little twiggies. So I'm doing them early on, and I'm doing them hard, and I'm doing them often. I think I train calves 4 of my 6 training days. And I'm already starting to see some growth. So whatever people tell you about calves, they're gonna grow just like any other muscle. Saying like, oh, they're 100% genetics, like your whole body's 100% genetics. So it's just bro science. That's just bros coping because I don't wanna train calves. So let's go hit these.
Since the day I was born a fighter, I rise up like smoke from a gun, like a brand new sun.
So Smith machine squat was the main movement for the day. I really like Smith machine squat because it kind of trains like internal strength in like the squat pattern, but it's more stabilized. So you're gonna take all the same muscles that you would train with like a back squat closer to failure, and you're gonna train them better in the context of hypertrophy because it's more stable. So you still get a sick quad pump, like a sick quad stimulus from it, but I still have to create my own like rigidity through my body, like stability through my body. So I really like it for that reason. It's kind of like the perfect power building movement. Then we're moving on to a quad bias leg press. So this is going to train the quads in the mid position, whereas the Smith machine squat trained in the lengthened position. And I'm going to set this up. I'm going to show you guys how to set it up to be more quad biased. All right, so then the foot placement with the quad bias leg press, obviously you want it a little bit closer to the bottom, so that in the bottom of the movement, I'm getting a ton of knee bend, as you can see right here. Whereas if my foot was up more toward the top, at the bottom of the movement, I'm not getting as much knee bend, but I'm getting way more bend at the glute, at the hip. So this would be like a glute bias leg press because I'm getting so much bend at the hips. Whereas if I bring my foot down to the bottom a little bit more, scooch my butt forward, and bring the seat back like I just explained to you guys, this is gonna be more quad focused. So like I've got pretty much maximal knee bend. I'm pretty close to maximal hip bend as well, but I'm also getting maximal knee bend, and that is what makes this a quad bias leg press. So you're definitely still gonna get glute with it, but you're gonna get a little bit more quad than if you were to do it the other way. And then with this leg press specifically, it gets kind of heavier because of the way that the weight is distributed. It gets heavier kind of like at about this point right here. So that combined with the fact that my glute can help out in the bottom is going to make the mid position of the movement the hardest. So that is also the mid position of the quad, which is going, all that is to say that this biases or trains the quad in the mid position.
This tension is rising, so thick we just might choke. But if we keep moving, it ain't us that's gonna wind up broke. Some people might think we're crazy, but crazy is all we've known. It's probably that they just ain't ready. That's why they're going up in smoke. We're giving this all we've got. We're taking our only shot. On a tightrope, we're surviving. Yeah. Trying to make it to a new horizon.
Alrighty, Alrighty, so that is the quad focus leg day. I just want to kind of explain a little bit kind of why I did the exercises in the order that I did them in. So as I already kind of touched on briefly, the adductors came first because not only are they hypertrophy, like it's a hypertrophy movement for the adductors to kind of give my legs some width, but it's also a prep movement for making my squat pattern kind of more efficient. Then after that, I wanted to do hamstrings early on in the session just because we're only doing one hamstring movement today as it is a quad focus leg day. So I want to make sure that the hamstring exercise comes early to make sure that it's a strong stimulus. After that, we did calves. Obviously, I want to do those early in the session as well because my calves are lacking. And I also want to do them right before the kind of main squat pattern just because it'll have the best carryover to my ankle mobility and stability. Then we did Smith machine squat, which is going to be the lengthened position quad stimulus for the day. I wanted to hit that one first because the quad responds best in terms of growth stimulus to lengthened position movements. At least that's what the current research suggests. After that, we went into the mid position with the leg press, and that is not only going to train the quad in the mid position as far as length goes, but also where the resistance profile is the highest. So the tension on the quad is going to be the highest when the quad is in the mid position. So that would be fully shortened, and then, or my knee fully extended is fully shortened, and then my knee fully bent is fully lengthened. So the tension is the highest, or the weight is the hardest when the quad is in between those two positions. And then we finished off with the leg extension, which trains the quad obviously in the fully shortened position. And the reason that we went with that kind of at the end is because the quad does respond better to more lengthened position movements. So the obviously fully lengthened position of the Smith squat and then the mid lengthened position of the leg press, the quad responds better to those movements. So those were going to be the focus. And then just to kind of make sure that we are getting some shortened position work, we did the leg extension to finish off. And yeah, that is a wrap for today's workout. I still have to get some groceries. I still have an empty fridge, having just got back from Florida yesterday. And I got to do some work tonight. But as far as the workout goes, we're leaving the gym. Finally, I'm pretty spent and looking forward to getting some food into my stomach. So my you can include that. My post-workout meal is back to the very boring. Actually, this is even more boring than it used to be. Like, this is just one serving of Gorilla Mode post-workout, code Evan, and chicken. And I had some carrots too. So that's just because, as I briefly mentioned, either in the last video or the beginning of this one, I binged pretty hard on the trip. Like, we went to this place called Mojo Donut, and it was like the best thing I've ever had in my life. Excuse me. So one day after smashing legs, which there is a video of, it's just being edited right now, we went to Mojo Donut, and Gleddy and I each got 12 donuts. And then I ate 8 of them at one time. I was just, like I said, trying my best to enjoy Florida for everything that I could, and that definitely included the food, just because the food in the States is so much better than it is here. And that being said, I went from the beginning of the trip I was 215, and then by the end of the trip, this morning I weighed in at 223, so that's 8 pounds. And I'm not stressed about it, which this is actually a good opportunity to kind of talk about this, because some people, especially people who are super neurotic, which is pretty common with bodybuilding, they'll get really stressed out about that kind of thing. But it's impossible for me to have gained 8 pounds of fat in I was there for 10 days. So I can almost guarantee I might have gained 1 pound in that 10 days of actual weight, body mass. And then the rest of it, the other 7 pounds is just water retention. And I definitely I'm looking and kind of feeling full in terms of my muscle bellies and my body, but I'm definitely feeling and looking quite watery as well. So subcutaneous water. And that's just due to your body will hold on to water when you're stressed, not sleeping well, which of course that was the trip for me. It was pretty stressful trying to fit everything in. I wasn't sleeping in my own bed. So definitely stressed out, and just pounding food to me, it's going to result in an excess of water retention. So I'm not stressed about it. I'm just going to get back to the meal plan. The first 2 days, so today and tomorrow, will be slightly below what my meal plan actually has on it. And then I'll just, for the next week, probably resume what my meal plan had on it, or what I should have been eating technically while I was on the trip, because I just finished my cut 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, so we're still kind of reversing. And then my weight will probably drop back down to like 216, 217, maybe even 215. We'll see. But yeah, I'm not stressed about it. So I got fat, but didn't actually get fat, if you know what I mean. And if you've ever been in the same boat, like don't make any drastic changes when like something like that happens. It's just kind of a recipe for disaster. Like you want to make small, like gradual changes, only changing like one variable at a time, so you can be sure to like see how changing that variable is actually like what effect that's actually having and stuff. So anyway, that is why my pre or post workout meal is literally just one serving of the gorilla mode post workout and then some chicken. The rest of the 2 meals of the day are going to be like pretty standard, pretty boring too. So that's the video. I hope you guys learned something today and enjoyed it. Yeah, as always, you can use code Evan to support me, and even just watching the video, subbing the channel, liking and commenting will do wonders for me. So thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next one.